Hello and welcome back to the Health One podcast. Today I have one of my besties. I've got Jason Kiely. Say hello, Jason.
Hi guys, how are you all? I hope you're all doing well.
He's such a funny bitch, like honestly cracks me up. I remember when I first met you so we're friends from Bali basically.
Yes.
Of course we're all brought together and we meet for a reason. But I remember even meeting you for the first time, like, yeah, he's probably a little bit quiet, like, and I wouldn't think he's like overly gay. You wouldn't really know. And then as I get to know him, I'm just like, oh my god, he's fucking amazing. Literally, that time we're in the gay bar going to the drag show.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Such a fucking laugh.
But Jason is a mindset coach, and you moved to Bali 3 months ago.
4 months next week.
4 months, wow.
Yeah, so spooky. At the time it's actually fucking flu. It's terrifying because like I was even thinking the other day, like I was on the phone to my mum and I was like, Mum, I've been gone for like 15 weeks, and she was like, what the fuck is
you
going
haven't
on?
stopped counting down.
Oh, I literally,
every time I look at your stories you're like, wow, it's been 12 weeks, wow, it's 15
but
weeks.
because it just hits me like every Thursday, because I moved on a Thursday, I'm like, hold on a minute now, how is another fucking week of my life gone by here?
Yeah.
Like, it just makes no fucking sense. Like,
No.
But no, yeah, fucking
time
great.
does go really fast here. It does.
Yeah.
I am now a year ago I came to Bali. So I came last year on the 1st of the 11th, so 111. And that was Monday, was it? The other day anyways. And I was like, holy shit, that was actually a year ago. Like, obviously I left for 3 months in between, but it was a year ago and I'm a completely different person because of Bali. And we're going to talk about Bali, we're going to talk about mindset, we're going to talk about sexuality, growing up in Ireland, your career today, and a little bit about Jason. And yeah, we're just going to have flow today and see what happens, because we talk a lot of shit normally, don't we?
A lot of
Good
shit.
chats.
Yeah, it's nice.
But do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself and I suppose what brought you to Bali, your career transition, and kind of, just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so obviously my name is Jason Kiely and I'm a mindset coach from County Cork, if people haven't picked up already. Cork by. And so basically how I got into coaching, I suppose just to go through how I transitioned into it. I did social science in college, and I suppose for me my whole entire life was always about like helping people and supporting people in some capacity. And I never really thought about what way it could be. Like, I wanted to be an occupational therapist, a social worker, there was a time I wanted to be a dentist, like just all these random fucking things throughout the years. So I went and I did social science in UCC in Cork, and then I was going to take a year out and work for a year, and I worked with people with disabilities, and then I was going to go back doing something. And then I decided, when it was time to decide to go back, I was like, no, there's something about, I was going to go back and do social work, and I was like, no, not, there's something. 3 weeks before I was supposed to go back, I was like, no, you're not supposed to do it, blah blah blah. So anyway, pushed it out, and then that following year then COVID happened, and when COVID happened I started to, I suppose, suffer really bad with anxiety. I started to get really panicky. I was still working with people with disabilities, so a lot of this came from like this like overarching, oh my god, COVID is fucking doomsday, like where like if you bring it into work, like it was like blacklisted. Do you know what I mean?
The shame.
Especially at the start, because people didn't know about it. So that's where it kind of started from. But then I realised through that a lot of other things came up. So then I started to do a lot of work on myself, and start, like, I'd always been interested in personal development, but I don't think how like deep I really needed it until then. And then I was sitting in my friend's house in like the September, and me and my friend Emma, my bestie, Emma, if you're listening, hello, miss you loads. But we were sitting in, it was like September, we were sitting in her house, and we were originally supposed to be moving to Vancouver, and Emma was like, I don't know, when I go back to college. And I was like, do what? I was like, what the fuck are you going back to college for? And she was like, oh, I'll go back and I'll do like a HR thing or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going back, I might go back. Like, we might as well make the most of the year if I know I'm going to be home for another year. And then I just kind of started looking, and I was like, look, I'll do a 8-week course. I found coaching. I suppose I'd first heard about coaching when I was in like 6th year, into the way you go around to the colleges and like I went to an occupational therapy talk, and at the occupational therapy talk, the lady that was giving the talk was talking about like all the work she'd done, all the different areas, and one of the things she said was a life coach. And I still remember my mum looking at me and being like, you'd love that. Like, just...
That's amazing that was an option for you.
Yeah.
Like, none of that was even mentioned for me.
No, like
Nothing.
It was so weird. Like, we went to an occupational therapy talk. She was going on about like all the different areas she worked in, whether it was like mental health, burns, whatever it was. And the last thing she said was life coaching, and me and my mum were kind of looking at each other like, what the fuck is that?
That's a bit of me.
Yeah. So I was originally going back to an 8-week course in like personal life coaching, like so how to coach yourself basically. Then that transitioned into going back into my master's in personal management coaching in UCC. So I finished that at Christmas time, and I set up my business August of last year, August of 2021. But I've kind of been coaching since like January, we'll say. So yeah, I suppose I worked with people with disabilities through that time as well. And then when I came to Bali, then I was full-time coach.
And here we are,
girlie. We fucking are.
Here we are, girlie. That's all you say.
Yeah.
Hey, girlie. What was I going to say? So you mentioned there that like you didn't start coaching straight away. What held you back from making that jump straight away?
Is in the business, like. Well, I suppose like when I was doing my course anyway, it was like like you had to do the first year of the course before you could even start. Like so you had to do like your practice coaching, and you had to finish the first set of modules in the first year. And then I knew that I wanted to move. So like I was kind of toying with the idea of like, will I push it off another while and all this? And then I was kind of like, you know what? I'm like piggybacking off of like freshly out of college. I still had like maybe like 1 or 2 clients a week, like, you know, like not major, like so I was kind of using that momentum then, and I was like, do you know what, fuck it, just set up the Instagram page, just start, like. And then I just started the Instagram page, and obviously with everything it took time to get like kicked off, like, and I just fucking did it, like. Do you know what I mean? Like I just felt like there was no option to not do it, you know what I mean, in a weird way, like. I was just kind of like, it's now or never, like, you know, if I don't do it now when I'm like rolling down the hill, I'm never going to do it, like, you know.
I was the same. I think it was like I came straight out of college, and I was like, not straight out of college, I was in college similar to you. I did my degree, then I was working in the industry, and then during COVID was the opportunity to finish my nutrition course that I had been prolonging. Same as you, started doing it for personal reasons, but then transitioned to actually maybe this is gonna be something. And I was like, literally COVID was my year to test the waters a little bit, dip my toe in, being like, okay, well, I don't really have any attachments to it, and if I fail, nobody's really gonna know, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, do you know what, we'll just see what happens. But even at that, so I was interested to see, did you prolong it because you were kind of not believing in yourself, or kind of putting it off in that kind of way?
I suppose like there was an element of like, I don't know, am I good enough for this, and I don't know, am I like going to be able to do this, or I don't know, am I going to be able to help people, blah blah blah. But I think for some reason in my brain it was like, so fuck mad, like, do you know what I mean? It actually doesn't matter, like you aren't going to be able to fucking say whether you did it or not if you don't even fucking try. You know what I mean? You won't know whether you're successful or whether you're going to fail if you don't even fucking do nothing about it. Do you know what I mean? So you've no choice but to jump in kind of 2 feet first, like, you know?
Yeah, definitely. No, I was my friend, I've said this a few times in the podcast, my friend Saz kind of forced me to do it, but it was a good thing, because I was even trying to find like other jobs in the industry that I could kind of, maybe I'll just do a different job that kind of links up with this, but kind of doesn't really put me on that, like out in the big bad world, exposed, you know, that kind of way. But like anything, like just fucking go for it, like you said. Like, how do you know, like, you're creating these horror stories in your brain, and like literally you're catastrophizing, and like, how do you know that's going to be the real thing? It's like your fear voice versus like your intuition knew that was something that you wanted to do. Same as me as well. So with your coaching now, what type of clients would you coach? And maybe it's a broad kind of area, but is there any kind of niche or anything that you love working with?
I suppose I work a lot with people who would deal with anxious thoughts. I think my whole big thing is going from your own worst enemy into your own biggest cheerleader. Like, that's a big part of what I do, and like kind of stop holding yourself back from like not getting what you want, but like, you know, being the person you want to be, like, you
fulfilling
know,
your potential,
literally, like, you know. And like, it's that'd be kind of the people I'd work with. And like what would hold you back would be like your limiting beliefs, anxious thoughts. It would be your self-talk, all those kind of bits, and that's what I'd work with people on mostly. But then like sometimes like people come into a session and we'd be chatting away, and the next minute then they talk about something and I'm like, okay, we're just going with this now. Do you know what I mean? And like that's exactly what they need. Like I think it's very like for some people, and for I suppose for all of us, like there's no like when we come in with like a vision of what we want help with or what we need support with, it's like as you go along you're like, holy shit, this is actually grand, I got this started fairly fucking fast. It's the other side that I need to deal with that I thought was completely fine, and it's actually in the shit I like, you know? So yeah, that's
the stuff you've been avoiding. I get that and that can come up in like therapy, that can come up in bloody breath work and all these kind of things. Like I remember at the start when I came to Bali this time round. Were you here? No, you came about
2 weeks after you,
so I left obviously for a few months, came back, and within 2 weeks Jason was here and came not so great time to introduce to everyone. God love him. We did some cards, we just had a chill kind of Friday night, little wholesome Friday night, and stuff was coming up about for me that I was literally like, oh no, that's not what I really wanted to find out in these cards right now. I really wanted to just took on a different side of things with like business and money, and it was like well, what do you actually need right now? And maybe that's what's actually shifting your vibe or causing those anxious thoughts and causing you to be in your fear brain, that's holding you back from actually going after what you want, or being in this high vibe energetic state that you are being creative and you're kind of attracting opportunities, or you're looking for opportunities, you're connecting with people. So it is really important to understand that while you might want to go for the things that look good on paper, you do have that conditioning, those kind of limiting beliefs, those kind of parts of you that you may need to explore that can help you excel in your career, in your love life, in whatever it is. Like it could be to do with when you were bullied when you were younger, it could have been to do with sibling dynamics in the family, it could have been to do with absolutely anything. And I think everyone owes it to themselves to explore parts of their lives that made them who they are today, because of what you've experienced through your life, you might have developed like a perception of yourself or beliefs about yourself that aren't true. They're really not true. And until we kind of challenge that, you're not going to be able to move forward. You're going to constantly act from maybe the body of your 15-year-old self. You're going to have the mind of your 15-year-old self, or your 18-year-old self, or your 7-year-old self, of whatever has happened to you along the way. But it's deep work. Obviously it can be a little bit emotion.
A little bit shitty. But I think you just have to go with it. Like you, exactly as you were saying, like you owe to yourself to do it, like you know, because like you could have even like the smallest, like now look, like reflecting back on it as an adult, it might be actually the smallest thing ever, but like you might have got picked last for a team in school, and like that might have told you for the rest of your life you're not good enough. You know, and that's something new looking at that. It's like not like, I suppose when you can look at it from a grown up and like rational perspective, when you're grown up, as being like, you got picked last for a team, it's not a big deal. But as a child, you're going to be like, oh my fucking god, I'm the shittest person ever. Like I should never ever will get picked for anything ever again. I'm not good enough. Blah. And like that's the way your brain tells you, and it's all about like the protection and all that kind of crack. Like
I wouldn't even say I was an adult. So this is the thing, like we can be adults, but we can be acting like children. Obviously a lot of us do mature with age, but until you actually do explore those parts of you, you can be acting that out subconsciously or unconsciously. So like to give an example of that, I would have had like a belief that I wasn't heard or seen, but like similar to that kind of thing. And then through my young adult years, I'm still a young adult, I know, but let's say early 20s, sorry.
Oh, that's bit cheery.
I know, I just feel so mature. No, let's say early 20s, kind of late teens, I would have started to seek that in my environment then. So you confirm your limiting beliefs, don't you? Yeah.
I suppose it's all about like confirmation bias. Like it's like you're going to look out for what is going to affirm what the story you're telling yourself. Like, so if like you are like telling yourself you're not good enough, like you are going to be in an environment or where you're either not going to try hard enough, not in like sarcastic way, like, but you're not going to try hard enough because you believe you're not good enough. Something will happen so minute that does not mean that you're not good enough at all, but you're going to be like, yeah, that's it there now,
Latch
I'm
onto
done.
it.
Like anything, if that's what you're telling yourself and that's the story you're telling yourself, then you're constantly going to seek that out without even realising it.
Yeah.
Do you know? Whereas if you kind of sit back and kind of take note of what's going on and kind of realise what your limiting beliefs are, or think about like what's holding you back, you can then kind of, it's not subconscious anymore, like you're aware of it, and you have that certain level of awareness where you can catch yourself out on doing it. Do you know what I mean? You can be like, oh, that's me doing that again now, I can't be doing that anymore. Do you know, that kind of way, like.
But it's important to do it without judgment, I suppose. What can happen is, I'm always trying to say that to clients, when you start a journey with coaching, whether it's my nutrition coaching or mindset coaching with you, really to use this as an opportunity to explore, like be a detective, be an observer, and don't judge yourself for it. Like that, like what we've just spoken about is your timeline of your life has caused you to develop certain beliefs or behaviors or thought patterns or whatever, and you get to then change that, but you don't need to fucking attack yourself for it. This is what a lot of people do. And they'll freak out over it, and they'll be like, oh my god, I'm like this, I'm the worst person, and it can kind of initially send you down a little bit of a hole, and that's of course you've got this newfound awareness, and suddenly it's really confronting, and you're like, holy fuck. But it's like, okay, we're doing the work though, and we're helping ourselves. Look at me being a boss bitch, look at me trying to move through this and not be stuck with this kind of attachment and this beliefs about myself as well. But I thought that was so interesting what you said about how we can actually, with confirmation bias, put ourselves into environments that will confirm that. That's really interesting. It makes me think about like friendships that I kind of settled with over the years, and like how I would have had that power dynamic where people would have like overpowered me and kind of walked all over me and stuff, but like because that was my belief about myself, I let that happen. And I do remember for years like kind of blaming those people when I stood away from it. But I put up with that. I let that happen. Now maybe I let that happen unconsciously and I wasn't aware of that, but at the end of the day there is personal responsibility and accountability, and I think that can really help people with the victim mindset. Like I was definitely a victim for a few years, and that was kind of exposure to certain conditions from different things that caused me to kind of believe that. But a victim not in a way that like everyone has to help me, and a victim in a way that I actually shut down, which is really interesting. I shut down and wouldn't let anyone help me because I didn't think that people would want to help me, or I'd be rejected or whatever. But I suppose what would have been if there was any, maybe there was loads of different things along the way, but what would have been the major things that helped you shift out of that kind of, you said that you were really anxious and you were really kind of feeling stuck.
So I suppose for me, starting out would have been we'll say like the practical tools, as I call them. So obviously like the meditation, the journaling, exercising, nutrition, all those kind of things, making sure that I was fueling my body with these actual practical skills. And then I think for me, that kind of kept them at bay, but it wasn't like addressing the actual issue. Do you know what I mean? That was kind of regulating my body to a certain extent, because I suppose when I started to feel anxious and stuff, it was very physical. It was very like the physical symptoms of anxiety. So like I'd get a skippy heartbeat and I'd be up in a fucking heap, like I'd be like I'm having a heart attack. Do you know what I mean? So that was kind of good for regulating all those kind of bits. But then to address, it was like going to therapy. It was like, you know, when I was journaling, like doing specific prompts that were aimed at what I wanted to talk about. And then I think a big thing for me, and I don't know, it's just the way that my brain works, is when I actually started to learn how to work with people properly and how to support other people, is when I really, really felt like I could support myself, which sounds a bit weird, but it was like, you know, like I suppose through therapy and stuff like that, and through like my own coaching journey and like going to coaching myself and stuff like that, like there was a certain element of someone else was kind of doing it for me in a weird way. Even though I was going and showing up for myself, it was still someone was like bouncing that. Whereas like when I started to learn, we'll say tools in a session or like all those kind of things, and when I started implementing them, when like let's say I was catastrophizing, or if I was mind reading, or if I was doing one of those thinking error things, or if I was, I don't know, if I was listening to like negative self-talk, like how to call myself out in that. And it was like learning how to use those practical tools with other people was what really I think changed my whole mindset and my view of things, which was kind of weird. Obviously there was like the things of like reading and like, you know, like learning all those other bits, like taking in as much fucking knowledge as I could, like. But yeah, it was really just the biggest thing for me, and I'd always say it, is when I literally went into college, And after about 2 or 3 weeks, I like learned all these different cool things, and I was like, holy shit, like this makes so much sense. Like, how did I not know about this before? Like, you know? So yeah, that kind of would have been really what helped me work through it, you know?
Yeah, it's really nice when you actually do understand that there are tools that you can use to help yourself. When it does make sense, you're like, oh, this is why I feel like shit. Like, I don't actually have to feel like this all the time. I would have had that with my heart as well, like literally chest pain, like to the max. And would you found like meditation hard to do when you had the chest pain and the heart racing at start?
Defo think it wasn't proper, like Defo didn't think I was doing it fucking properly, like, because I was so like, do you know what I mean? Like, but like to a certain degree, like it would have been grand, and then I would have been like, but I would have had to meditate, we'll say, for like 40 minutes for my body to like regulate it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now if I was meditating, it would take me like a couple of minutes and I'd be grand, like I'd be into it then. But like like I feel like it would have been hard, but I think with things like that as well, I was just so desperate not to feel like that. Do you know what I mean? I was just so like, I don't want to be having panic attacks, I don't want to be anxious all the time, I don't want to feel the fucking butterflies in my stomach 24/7. Like a big thing for me as well, like the meditation and the journaling helped me, but walking, which is so weird. Like I'd have a big thing about music. Like I'd love like just throwing on my headphones, baiting around the place and walking for fucking hours. Like, and that's what really helped me, I think, as well. That was a big tool that helped me. But like the meditation, I think, and the journaling are kind of my added tools. Then I think walking is my number one tool for like practical tool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I would have found meditation, like, did you know that you were doing meditation for your anxiety at that time?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that the link between the two. I had no idea. Like, I had just had a journey. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but basically didn't know I had anxiety. Then I found out I had anxiety, but there wasn't any like language about it then. So this was a good few years ago. So even doing meditation, I didn't know like how transformative that was going to be for me, with regulating your breathing, like simple thing that you can do for your anxiety. Just shifting your state, like doing the walk and shifting your state. Anxiety is a high energy process, so if you're actually going to expending that energy with a walk, that can be something that really helps you. Don't get reliant on only doing walks and exercise. We don't want to add more stress to the equation, and that being your only tool to cope. But because that is really common, that a lot of people just use exercise. But if you want to be managing your mental health, want to be regulating your body, you don't want to just use exercise as a tool. And especially with females, I see it often that they're really stressed, really they've got a lot of anxiety, really highly strung out. And they only use exercise as a tool instead of understanding breathing, slowing down, regulation, yoga, stretching, journaling, whatever it is that can really help shift out of this fight or flight into their parasympathetic side of the nervous system. It's kind of like expending the mental energy, but then you're not necessarily even going back to neutral. You might get like a little bit of calm for a while. It's like, okay, let's actually shift one step further into your calm and help you actually experience that. Like, I never even knew being calm was something that I could experience ever. Inner peace was something that I could never experience. So it is possible, girlies. Oh, sorry, were you going to say something?
No. I just had to take a deep breath. Sorry, guys.
I suppose then, what made you, I suppose, move out of Ireland then? Was it just something that you always wanted to do? Yeah, defo. I think I always wanted to move. Like Cork now is 1,000,000% my home. Like, particularly shout out to Cargline for anyone listening from Cargline. Major shout out to Cargline. But that Cork is my home. Like, and it always will be my home. And I think, but I never could see myself just spending all my life there. Like, and like, I suppose it always kind of chopped and changed where I wanted to go. So it was kind of like, obviously when you're younger, it was always like America. Remember, like, that was the thing. Like, everyone wanted to be on fucking High School Musical. Like, so we all wanted to go to America, and then that obviously stopped. And then I think it was always Canada or Australia. And then I was like, do you know what? I really love the idea of Asia. Like, I just think it's so different to home. No, I didn't really say fucking different. It was actually going to be when I got here. But it's so different from home. It'd be really cool to see that side of the world, all those different cultures, all that kind of stuff. So I think it was
I knew I was moving this year at some point. I didn't know where I was going to go, and I went to Dubai to visit my friends in February, March time. And I remember like they were all teaching, they were all having the biggest fucking laugh ever, and I remember I came home and I was like, I just need to book a flight. And I toying with the idea of Bali, and like me and my friends were talking about it and like where we're going to go and all this, and I just came home and I just kind of like, I knew I had it in the back of my head I was going to book it, and I came home I think on the Thursday, and I was just mulling around in my head, and I was like, I'm just going to fucking book the flight.
Do you know?
And I just booked the flight then for July, and here I fucking am. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like it was, I always knew I wanted to move and be out of Ireland for a while, because I think it's so important not to be stuck in home your whole entire fucking life, because all you're ever going to know is home, and you're never going to know anything else, and like you're never going to expand your knowledge or like meet other people, like everything like that. Now I'm not saying I'm the most fucking well travelled bitch of all time, like, but you know, like I just think it's really important to just get out and escape that for a while, like you know, like home is always going to be the same. Do you know?
I think it's important for people to expand their minds as well. I think growing up in Ireland can feel a little bit close-minded sometimes, and I'm having more and more conversations with people about this, so that's making me think maybe it's not actually anymore. Maybe people are really shifting in that right direction, because if more and more people are talking about the fact that it's closed-minded, they obviously have that awareness, and they're starting to open their mind, and that's going to trickle down. So that gives me a bit of life when I'm talking to more and more Irish people that are coming here, and yeah, we won't even talk about the negatives of Ireland right now, but that kind of stuff. But but I suppose did you always enjoy growing up in Ireland? Like I would have had like a resentment for Ireland for a while, and I would have wanted this like escapism, like really this escapism was in me. I needed to get out, and obviously I didn't realise that I wasn't just running from Ireland, I was running from myself. Like obviously there was so much that I had to unpack and to heal and all that stuff as well, and COVID actually kind of helped me ground myself a little bit. It did help me kind of be like, okay, do you know what, we get over the fucking meltdowns and breakdowns for the first few months of COVID, and then eventually because I had that kind of purpose with my quitting my job and starting up the business, I was actually like, okay, now we're in Ireland and we're doing what we actually want and we're feeling a little bit better, and I got to kind of make the most of it, got to travel different parts of the country, you know, got out of my Dublin bubble. And then I did grow a new love and appreciation for Ireland, because it was a completely different headspace that I was in with that as well, but it didn't get rid of my travel bug. I just wasn't actually running away from Ireland. I was kind of moving towards like open-mindedness, new experiences and all that good stuff. But I suppose, what was growing up in Ireland like for you? Did you have that kind of ever in you?
Do you know what, I like always liked growing up in Ireland, I suppose, because like where I'm from, there's a big massive, like a load of my family's there, like we all kind of live around each other. I suppose where I was growing up when I was younger, there was always shit going on, like we were always doing things and stuff. But I suppose obviously growing up gay as well was kind of a bit weird, like in my teen years, like it would have been hard, like to a certain degree, like. And I suppose the time in Ireland that I grew up in, like it was like the 2000s, like, you know, like we'll say the late 2000s, early 2010s, and like being gay was still a bit of a weird thing, you know, like I suppose for maybe we'll say our generation, and like even though I loved Ireland, there was a part of me that was like, oh my god, I suppose it was that I wanted to escape and go to somewhere where like the gays were. Do you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, I want to go to like New York or San Francisco, or the gays are living, like to just so that I could probably feel that bit more comfortable. Now in saying that, I had a great group of friends and stuff like that, and I had a great family support system, but there was obviously those close-minded people who weren't very fucking nice. But yeah, like I suppose that's where I kind of would have wanted, that's where that escapism would have came, well, it would not escapism, that's where that wanting to move away would have came from. But then there's an element that I fucking loved as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I really enjoyed growing up where I grew up, like you know. When I say as well that
I did enjoy growing up in Ireland. I did enjoy my friends, my family as well.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
to clarify
yeah.
that. There's lots of great memories, and Ireland will always have peace in my heart. Like,
Yes.
fucking best country in many, many ways. Like, on a fucking sunny day, everyone's
Oh my god.
top form.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sorry. I suppose, would you like so that would have been like before, like, it's actually fucking crazy to think that we had to like vote gay marriage into a referendum.
So spooky, like.
I remember, like, this is where you kind of see the shame and but it's conditioning, isn't it? Conditioning.
Catholic Church, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Evil fucking bastards. I actually can't cope with them, like.
No,
it's just, and like, it's not even like the real, like, Catholic people, like the actual fucking. Now I don't know to get into it, but it's the Catholic Church, and it's shame again. And Ireland is a country that is based on, I think, a lot of people's motivations in Ireland is so that there isn't shame around what they're doing, or that you're not embarrassing yourself for, like, what are the neighbours going to think kind of mentality. And that's where that stems from the Catholic Church. We're not getting into the Catholic Church now, guys. I don't have time for this.
No, that's fine.
But
it's important to bring it up. Like, we spoke about it in my last podcast I recorded with Jordan. We were talking about sex and how there is sexual shame for women in Ireland because of the Catholic Church. So, like, it is important to acknowledge that is part of our history, that, like, that is something that will affect us and affect hopefully not many generations, but the previous generations for sure. And like what you said, it's like, how will we look, about what will the neighbours think, how will the family look? It's all about how we look, not about how we feel, you know. Like, you being your fucking amazing authentic self that you are now, being around you is like fucking being around sunshine, like, literally. Like, you literally, like, I swear to God, so I didn't even have any gay friends when I was younger. Like, did I have any gay friends? I think I would have had one or two, but never close to me, let's say. But isn't that mad that I had to think, did I have any gay friends when I was younger? Because that's what it was like growing up. And now I can't fucking get you away from me. No, we went to the gay club here in Bali. Is it legal that there's gay clubs?
I actually don't even know.
So this is the mad thing. Like, I'm like, oh my God, how did we not have gay marriage? How do we have a gay marriage referendum that just wasn't a legal thing? But, like, we're in Asia and that's still illegal. Like, I know it's illegal in Singapore to be gay. Like, what? And even doing my trauma course, it was a mental illness years ago. A mental illness to be gay.
Back in, like, I don't know, was it like Sweden or like Holland or one of those countries, people started ringing in because they were so like, what the fuck, why is this a mental illness? People started ringing in sick, saying, I can't come in, I'm gay. And
no
like, that's
way.
like one, like, that was the thing, like, you know, that they'd ring, I can't come in, and get taking the piss, like, they were like, this is so stupid, like, why would you fucking say that? Like, so yeah, like, it's weird. Like, I just think there's a lot of like, weird fucking, I suppose it's still like, it's like, like, a lot of people are accepting and everyone's great, but there's still places, like, even in Ireland, that are not very accepting of gay people, or, you know, any bit of campness or any bit of femininity, any bit of a mince in your walk, people are straight on top of you. Like, not me, like, I've never really experienced that, but like, if you were in a small part of Ireland, you couldn't.
I've seen it firsthand. I still see gay used as an insult.
It's so, and like, what you mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Grow up.
No, grow up, exactly.
Yeah,
grow up.
fucking weirdos.
22. Like, grow up. But yeah, and it does break my heart, because obviously there's a lot of still really horrible things going on, like in Ireland last year. Was it this year? This year. Two gay men
murdered.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like there's still the extremes. There's obviously, like, we're also, like, celebratory of all of, like, everyone being authentic and in their sensuality, sexuality, and it's just not even, like, an issue anymore. But then there is obviously those extreme people that are so, like, just hardwired conditioned that that's still something that's a negative thing, and it's like, it's really, really, it's heartbreaking at the end of the day. I suppose, like, did you feel that, like, you were just you and that was it, or did you feel like you had to come out at any stage?
I suppose, like, it's weird, like, in the sense of, like, I always knew I was gay. Like, there was never, like, a question about it, like, and growing up, I always really knew that I was. And, like, when I suppose I came out at 17, so I was quite young, really. Like, I wasn't, like, fucking ancient, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but I was quite young when I came out, and, like, there was that element of coming out, because I suppose, like, like, there was, I suppose, I wasn't the only person in my year who was gay, but like, you know, there was still, I suppose, because I'm so like camp in a way, like, you know, and there was no hiding it, like that, you know, like like you'd still feel like you have to do it, do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's really weird, like, and I suppose like I would have like played a lot of sport when I was younger, and like, you know, that would have been very masculine environment, and then I gave up sport, and like, you know, my family, there's all very like masculine men in my family, like, so there's a lot of pressure on you then to like, you know, oh my god, am I not like masculine enough, like am I not enough of a man, kind of a type mentality. And yeah, like I think like there was never a question of me not coming out, like, you know, I think when I got to like 17 I was like, all right, now give up the fucking ghost.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah, like, you know, but it was a lot like, you know, like I actually don't give a fuck about this anymore. Like, in a weird way, it was like, this is a lot more stress for me to like keep, to not talk about it than it is for me to actually talk about it, you know. I'd rather go through the stress of being authentic rather than the stress of like being inauthentic, like. And I feel like a lot of like the fucking name calling or the bullying or the smart comments, that all stopped when I came out, really, like, you know, because people had nothing to say to me anymore. Like, I was like, oh, you're going to call me the fucking F slur. What do you mean? Like, we all know, like, you're not telling anyone any fucking news, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and like a lot of that kind of changed, I think, when I came out, and I think that was my first descent into like owning who I am, you know what I mean? Just that element. Now it's still a long journey, like, you know, and it's still a long journey in the sense of like, when you grow up, like putting yourself down all the time, like, because you're hearing other people put being gay like down, and you're hearing other people say like, oh my god, two men kissing on the telly is disgusting, or that's gay, like, and all that kind of crack. Like, you in your brain are automatically like, oh my god, there's something inherently wrong with me, like, I can't be this. And like, your brain is built to protect you, like, that's what it is. It's protection. Like, it's like back in the fucking Stone Age or whatever, or maybe Stone Age, whenever fucking Neanderthals were around, Flintstones era spec. Back then, like, your brain was there for like protecting you from like prey, or protecting you from fucking fires or whatever. It was like, there's something going to happen here, so you need to fucking run, basically. And I think when you're growing up gay and you're hearing all of this negativity around it, and that you shouldn't be who this person is, and that there's something wrong with who you are, your brain's response is to be like, okay, don't be it. Don't really, really reject yourself to the point of like push it so far down that, like, especially like for me, like, I realised I was gay when I was 5. I was playing Barbies and like wearing communion dresses, like, you know, play school, like, you know, and like, I realised from a young age that there was something fucking up here that I, not now I realise that it doesn't matter, but back then I was like, okay, you're not right in your body, like, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be feminine, or you shouldn't be gay, like. So it was like this pushing down and rejecting of myself that I think now led to a lot of like why I had anxiety and stuff like that. And like, you know, obviously, like, you know, it's fucking shit, like. And then kind of like, it's not like you just come out and like the whole world is fucking rosy in the garden, like, it's not. Like, you have a long slog of like trying to kind of, I suppose, come home to yourself, really, like,
to readapt to different environments and stuff.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, you know, like, because your mode of protection was rejecting yourself, it's not just like you just allow yourself to be yourself. It's like you take a while to be like, okay, this is okay, and you're like putting out the feelers of
testing
how
this
much
is safe. Can this person handle this? Am I going to get backlash if I say this or be this?
Literally, like, you know, like, I even remember, like, for my parents, like, it was fucking very hard. Like, not very hard in a way, like, they obviously accepted me and they loved me, but like, they were worried, like, you know, like, it was scary for them to have like a son who came out at 17, like, you know, like. And like, I remember one day I went out for a run, and it was about 2 weeks after like I came out or whatever, and I remember we came home, I got into a fight with my mum and dad over something small, and then it turned into like my parents being like, you were too young. But in my brain, that was like, they didn't accept me, but I know, like, obviously I know now they did, but it was just, they were nervous that like I was going to get fucking gay bash. Like that's what they were afraid of when I went for the run, like. And like that's fucking shit for a parent to deal with, like. And it's just, now I just look back on it and I'm like, is that not the most fucked up thing
so
ever?
Fucked
like,
up. I'm being emotional listening to you.
It's just so fucking weird. Like, why the fuck do people actually give a shit? Like,
it's making me think. Remember, we were at the festival and we were with the trans women.
Yeah.
And we're having a fucking ball with them, dancing all night, like literally, like the fucking moves out of everyone, and it was like a dance off.
It's just
like,
really good vibes, like,
just having so much fun. And then some fucking little-minded, small dick men, sorry everyone, literally attacked, like not physically, I think it was verbally,
but
wasn't
just like
it?
shouting at them, like calling them all the names, like
why
all
is
the
there
bad
fucking need?
names.
Like, leave people do them, you know, leave them to their own fucking devices. They're having a good time. You can have a good time if you don't be a fucking dickhead and like feel the need to attack.
And it's like, why do you give a shit?
I know.
Honestly, it's just so weird to me. Like, I just look at people sometimes who are like really small-minded, whether it's like homophobic, transphobic, racist, like all this, and I'm like, your life must be so shit.
Judgment of any kind. Any kind.
It's like, why do you give a fuck? Like, just grow up. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like,
just so simple when you say it like that. Just fucking grow up.
It's just fucking move on. Like, do you know what I mean? Keep it moving, girl. You're gonna die one day, and then are you going to be 80 years old looking back and be like, I'm happy that I shouted at that fucking gay man in the street?
Yeah, no,
like, you're going to be happy that you were happy. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be proud that you fucking were living your best life. If living your best life is getting stuck on fucking people for just being who they are, you actually need a fucking reality check, like, do you know?
And I think it's that triggering, like, if you kind of bring it back to mindset kind of side of things, that if someone, even again, I was talking about this with Jordan on the podcast, if someone is triggering to someone because they're just in their authentic self, in their power, showing up as themselves, that's nothing wrong with that person. There's something wrong with the person that's triggered. And sorry, that's probably phrased wrong. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with that person. It's just something that person needs to explore. Like, what is it in you that you're being triggered by people? And this is actually like a really great perspective to have when you're being triggered by someone or something in the world. It's an opportunity for you to go within. Like, what in you is missing? What in you are you not shining a light on? What a part of you is in darkness that you're basically suppressing, and that gives you an opportunity to become a better version of yourself, rather than attacking the world or putting people down because they're in their power or they're being something that you can't be, you know? It's like, and you're so fucking in your power, like you're literally I'm guessing. no, you're great. But oh yeah, I was saying we were at the gay club. I was at Medusa. I came home. I think I got to the villa at like 11:30 or something like that.
Yeah, and we were at the door then at 12:15. Like.
Oh, literally, the three of them, Kegs, Daniel and him, my three gay besties. Literally, we're going to the gay club, and I was like, but I want to say hi to the girls. Like, no, we're going, taxi's ordered. I was like, okay, off we go. And we had so much fun. We were up on the stage dancing, and there was a drag show and everything. And they're just so fucking fabulous. Like, literally just being their fucking selves. And I'm just like, that gave me confidence to dance better that night, you know? Yeah,
I think it's just like, but again, like if you're growing up as gay and you get into an environment where you can be fully yourself, it's literally going to be like balls to the fucking wall. Like, I'm going to let go as much as possible, because then I'm in an environment where I can let go, you know, and be authentically myself, like, you know. Now, like, I'm not like a gay club connoisseur kind of like type person, but like, you know, for a lot of people it's their safe space, like, you know, and when you're in your safe space you should be able to feel like you can be yourself, and that's why people don't give an absolute fuck. People just be having a fucking Riley, like, and it's just so great to see, like, you know. But yeah, like, even just coming back to that point of like people being like triggered, like for a lot of things it's like, you know, they're seeing, and it, like, I think a lot of people think like, you know, when a straight fella like is like homophobic, it's like he's secretly gay. Like, a lot of people think that, and I do think there might be an element of that, but I also think it's like this, they're nervous by, or they're fucking, I suppose homophobia would insinuate fucking scared, but I don't know about that. But like, it's the authenticity of people, whether it's like homophobia, racism, whatever, it's like just people being themselves is what people are. If people have a problem with it, it's because they're shunning a part of themselves away. It's like they're afraid of other people not rejecting themselves in a weird way, do you know? Because there's some part of them, if you look at like, we'll suppose like coming back to like the Catholic Church or religion, like they're very like transphobic, homophobic. So they're transphobic and homophobic because, but then they're also very like sexually shamed, or like, you know, women are very shunned and femininity is very shunned, kind of, or pushed down. But like, it's, I think there's like a certain element of like, when people are fucking triggered by people just being themselves, it's because there's maybe a bit of jealousy or something there, because they're like, look at them having fucking laugh, and why can't I do that because I've been so brainwashed, or I've been, this my limiting beliefs,
Get back in line kind
do you know
of thing.
exactly, like, you know, which is just fucking crazy. Do you know?
And ultimately, I suppose what brings you back to is being your own bestie and making you actually fucking like yourself, because you're not suppressing parts of yourself, and you don't have this like outward hatred for people. Like, that's energy that you're expending that you could be expending on yourself and making yourself feel good at the end of the day, you know?
And I think it's just about like fucking, like, there's a certain element of you that you can't ever change, like, you know, like, and you should, and even if there's things that you want to change, you should come at it at the angle from so much fucking love for yourself, that's why you want to change it. And like, when you're being like your own biggest cheerleader, your own bestie, not being your own worst enemy, getting out of your own way and just fucking living your life the way you want to live it, like, that's like, you'll see it, like, you'll feel it, it's a feeling, like, it's not, and you'll just see it then in everyday life, like, you know. And I think like, by stop beating yourself up and stop telling yourself that you're not good enough and stop telling yourself that you're shit, or like, there's like, you kind of just realize that like, that's never going to fucking work, like, and like, your hatred for other people and your hatred for yourself is never going to lead you to be happy. You cannot hate yourself into something you love. It's physically impossible.
I literally say that all the time to clients. If they come with the goal of weight loss or fat loss, they're hating on themselves, they're hating their body, they're putting themselves down, they're like holding themselves back. They've such low self-worth and such low self-esteem because of how their body looks. I'm like, okay, we can look at weight loss, we can look at fat loss, but we're not going to go down that route first. We're going to look at you actually respecting your body. You focus on your health, you focus on helping yourself feel better, and feeling better does not come when you lose weight. It just doesn't. Feeling better is going to happen when you start loving yourself first, and of course you can look at acceptance first. You don't have to go straight to self-love. It's a fucking journey, of course. But you cannot get there along the way by putting yourself down. Like, you have to fucking be a friend to yourself. Like, literally what we've just spoken about, how shit can affect you throughout your whole life. And once you kind of have this realization, or you're hearing me talk about this in the podcast today, start today being fucking nice to yourself. Like, you've had a fucking journey. Everyone's had a journey. Like, I'm pretty much like, most people I talk to here in Bali have some sort of thing that they've worked through, or multiple different things, and that's fucking hard. Like, give yourself the credit and understand that you've been through that, and be like, okay, well, today I'm actually going to be on my own team. I'm going to help myself move forward at the end of the day, you know. And
I think as well, like, most of the shit that you would say to yourself, you'd never say to a friend or family member. And it's like, if you catch yourself really like putting yourself down, be like, would I say this to a friend or family member? Would I say this to someone I love? No. So don't be fucking saying it to yourself then either. Do you know what I mean?
That perspective shift is so important. But yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What advice, so like either like 1 or 3 pieces of advice or whatever, would you give to your younger self?
Oh jeez, it's gonna be tears now. Okay, so my first piece of advice would definitely just stop giving a fuck about what people think of you. Like, it actually doesn't fucking matter, and it's not a big fucking deal. My second piece of advice would be to stop shutting away parts of yourself, and like, fully, like, if you want to do something, no matter how much you think other people are going to think you're weird, are going to think you're a fucking fairy or whatever for doing it, fucking do it anyway. Because you're going to fucking love it. And 3 would be, what would my third piece of advice be for little Jason? Do you know what my last piece of advice is? Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Do you know what
he
I
says
mean?
That all the time.
Fuck him. Absolutely fuck him. Fuck everybody else. Fuck everyone's opinion. Like,
fuck him, like.
Literally, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, do you know what I mean? I think, like, fuck him in the sense of just do whatever the fuck makes you happy. Like, it's, at the end of the day, you're going to wake up dead. Well, you're not going to wake up dead. You're actually going to be dead. at the end of the day, there's going to be a point in your life where you're going to die.
Yeah.
And you want to say that you fucking did everything you ever wanted to do. And you never stopped yourself from doing anything.
Yeah.
So, fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah.
No, like, literally life is too short. We've kind of learned this year very tragically that, like, you know, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're literally not. And I forget that sometimes, and sometimes it comes back around to me, and I'm literally like what you're saying, fuck 'em. Like, just go for it. Why stop yourself? But it can be very easy when the external reality seems to be going wrong, like it has been going for me lately. I feel like I'm fucking being kicked out of Bali in a different direction. Yes. But you eventually have to come back to what you actually want to do in life, and making that change for yourself, not being stuck in victim mode, not being a victim of your circumstances, your environment, whatever it is. But you know what's really common? The amount of people that say stop giving a fuck what people think. And so, like, and I feel like that's going to keep coming up when I have guests on the podcast. So, like, people, if you haven't listened to that message, you haven't received that message so far, stop giving a fuck what people think. And message received for myself today as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you,
but thank you, honestly, that was such a lovely conversation and really, really powerful as well. And I hope lots of people can get stuff or can get some support with this podcast episode. But can you tell people where they can find you?
So people can find me on Instagram at Jason Kiely Life Coaching. And that's that, I think, for the time being. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, Jason Kiely Life Coaching.
On to Melbs next.
On to Melbs. I'm making the move to Oz, to the land of the kangaroos. So yeah, next stop in the journey, I feel like I'm ready now for a new chapter. I think it's going to be really, like, invigorating for me.
Oh, what a word.
Reinvigorating, is that the term? Just something that's going to fucking pump me with energy is all I'm waiting for. I feel like I'm a bit purgatory-esque now in Bali, like. So I'm just ready to fucking go.
Well, thank you so much. Go give Jason some love. If you found this conversation beneficial and you'd like to share it on with somebody else, please do. Like we're speaking about, there is a lot of change in Ireland and people's mindset. Like, so many people are reading, they're doing all the things, and it's just brilliant. But unfortunately, like we said, there is still some conditioning still there, and we'd love this to kind of trickle down. As always, if you like the podcast, would really appreciate a review or a rating on Spotify, Apple, whatever, and just passing it on to anyone who will benefit. So yeah, thank you so much. Bye.